Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another edition of NoDQ&A video here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRiftNoDQ. Before we get started, special shout outs. First of all, a shout out to Sam and Mike B, who left generous super chats on the last YouTube premiere of NoDQ&A video. But once again at the last minute, that scoundrel Adrian comes in and steals the title back, keeps the title. He is the reigning and defending No DQ Super Chat champion. Whoever leaves the single biggest super chat for this YouTube premiere will be recognized as the champion. Let's go ahead and get to your questions. Arthur asked me, "Hey Aaron, what are your thoughts on AJ Styles' IC Championship run so far? I feel it's been pretty solid." I think it's been fine, but it's also way too soon to really judge it. If AJ Styles can have a lot of great matches with top talent, then you could argue it's been a really strong reign. But so far, it's just been a title reign. Nothing particularly memorable about it. We'll see how SummerSlam goes and if AJ can have a fairly lengthy run as champion without having to forfeit it due to injury or whatever reason. We'll see. We'll see if AJ can make it the workhorse title and have some classic, maybe even match of the year contenders as IC champion. This question comes from Mike Mazzarone. Hey Aaron, real simple one. Do you think AEW pulled the trigger on MJF's title aspirations too soon and should have waited until crowds returned to get the most out of a potential MJF AEW championship win? That is the big debate. A lot of people are very mixed about their feelings. I said a long time ago, back in the beginning of the year, MJF should be the guy to beat Moxley. Now, I did not know about COVID, obviously, when I was talking about that at first. Ideally, you would have a crowd, but it is what it is. It's hard to really tell if MJF is making a big difference with fans. From what we saw during the time that we had crowds, he was connecting with people. He was getting over, as they say, as a heel. And I think it's important for AEW to be able to build their own stars. And MJF, in my opinion, is the closest thing AEW has to a homegrown talent, somebody who is getting over through the work in AEW, cutting the promos and doing that gimmick with the character, being better than everybody else. MJF, to me, is a guy who has some real momentum, and I always like to say, strike the iron when it's hot. Is it ideal for him to win the title at All Out? No, but I would like to see it happen. Do I think it's going to happen? That's a whole different story, and I could see Moxley retaining the title and moving on to other opponents. But MJF is champion. I hope we get to see sooner than later. This question comes from Dwayne Atkinson. Is this too late? If this is too late, I apologize, but here's my question. Do you think Adam Cole will be kicked out of the Undisputed Era if he loses a takeover, much like he did when he was part of the Bullet Club? Got your question in time because we're still a week away until the TakeOver pay-per-view, TakeOver 30. I would not have a problem with that. Hell, I would be down for a swerve where you have Pat McAfee become the new leader of Undisputed Era, and that's the finish of the match where the other UE members turn against Adam Cole. I just feel like something needs to be done. Undisputed Era, they've had a great run in NXT. There's no doubt about it. However, nothing lasts forever, and you have to evolve, you have to change. Something needs to give, whether it's Undisputed Era goes to the main roster with Adam Cole as the leader, or you break up the group in NXT, you get a new leader, Adam Cole goes as a face. You got to do something. You got to have a change with these characters and take them in a different direction. Adam Cole, I think, would work very well as a babyface. The fans already love the guy. They do the Adam Cole baby at the shows. So yeah, I would like to see it happen, and Pat McAfee leading the group, that would be very interesting for sure. This question comes from Christopher Yuck. Most would say John Cena is poised to break Ric Flair's record of title reigns. What if it was, or is Randy Orton all along? What if Cena versus Orton is the Flair versus Hogan of yesteryear for the match to break the said streak? Ooh, that would be interesting if Randy Orton got to 16, Cena stayed at 16, and then they had a match to break the streak. That's really interesting, Christopher. I would not have a problem with it. I know some people would be like, the focus is being put on the old guys, but knowing how often WWE title reigns happen in the company, would not shock me if within the next year or two Randy Orton gets to that 16 number. What is he at, like 13 or 14 at this point? I still think it's going to be John Cena. When it's all said and done, I think Cena will be the guy to break Ric Flair's record and be 17 times as world champion. But yeah, I like that idea a lot. If both of them were at 16 and it was guaranteed one of them would break the record, that would be very interesting. But before that happens, I would at least like to see John Cena go for 17 and maybe come up short a couple of times, because you have that drama, and I think you can milk that. John Cena, whenever he does come back, I think he should go for that 17th championship, maybe come up short a couple times, but then you do Orton versus Cena, and it's guaranteed that somebody's breaking the record. That I would like to see. This question comes from Daza 20,006. What name or brand is more known worldwide? The Rock or Hulk Hogan or somebody else? Well, I think if we're talking about worldwide popularity, I think at this point it has to be The Rock. Hulk Hogan was huge. He's a household name, and I think most random people on the street would know the name Hulk Hogan, but I think more people would say that they are fans of Dwayne Johnson. Maybe not as much the wrestling character, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, especially in other countries, that are huge fans of The Rock as an action movie star. Hulk Hogan did not really have that appeal past wrestling. He only had the mainstream success as a wrestler. When he tried to do movies and TV, did not really pan out. The Rock, however, became the biggest star in Hollywood, the highest paid actor in the entire world 2 years in a row. That is incredible. And what is he, like one of the top Instagram accounts in the world, like number 3 or 4? He is an icon worldwide. Now, 80s Hulk Hogan at his peak, he was up there, no doubt about it. This question comes from Vegeta Knows the Wrestles. With Sasha and Bayley holding all of the women's tag team titles, who do you use to feud with them? Besides Alexa Bliss and Cross, there are no top women baby faces. Yeah, that is one of the problems right now with the women's division in WWE. You really have a lack of tag teams, especially on SmackDown. You do have Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan. They're reunited. They're tagging together. So theoretically, you could put them in there with Sasha and Bayley. I would like to see WWE develop some more teams, and I guess it's always possible you could build up a few teams from NXT and eventually have them challenge Sasha and Bayley. But until that happens, I suppose you could keep the titles on Sasha and Bayley. It's not like WWE's pulling the trigger on the split, but if I was WWE, I would start focusing on building up some teams to challenge Sasha and Bayley, so whenever the time comes that they are going to split up, which I think is inevitable, you have a team ready to go to beat them and keep the titles at a high level instead of just throwing some team together last second with no real momentum. They win the titles and then nothing happens and they have nobody to challenge. So build up some teams. Let's get something going here. And this last question today comes from DJW. Yo, Aaron, do you think Chris Jericho's theme Judas is the best entrance theme in wrestling since CM Punk's Cult of Personality? I'll never forget how the crowd sang Judas at AEW Revolution well after the theme went off. It was very captivating. I would definitely say it's the best AEW theme, and a lot of that is just due to it being Chris Jericho. And there's not a whole lot of competition in AEW. For WWE songs, none of the newer entrance themes that have come out since CFO's left, to me, have been all that stellar. The best ones in recent years, Shinsuke Nakamura, his original theme, and Bobby Roode. Roode's not even on television these days. Those two themes were fantastic, and I would put them up there as among the greatest wrestling themes of the past decade. So there have been some great ones since Cult of Personality. But of course, songs that are outside of the WWE or AEW production bubble, those songs tend to be done by professional bands, and they're going to, most of the time, be better fits for the wrestlers because they're already iconic songs, and it just adds to the wrestler when they're able to come out to a really cool song that everybody knows and a song that was very popular at one point in time. That will wrap things up for this edition of No DQ&A Video, episode number 1150. Thank you guys for your continued viewership and support. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and tell a friend. Spread the word, spread the love. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest, and I will see you guys next time.